Listen closely. Most men lose attraction in a hug because they never learned that a hug is a conversation, not a collision. I'm going to speak to you like someone who actually wants you to win, not flatter you. A hug is not about arms. It's not about strength. It's not even about closeness. It's about safety mixed with intention. Women feel that combination instantly before logic steps in. When you hug her, her nervous system asks one question: is this man grounded or is he needy? And your touch answers before your mouth ever could. Most men rush a hug like they're late for something. They squeeze too hard, too fast, or worse, they hover awkwardly, apologizing with their body. That tells her you want something from her approval. Attraction shrinks when neediness enters the room. A powerful hug starts before you even touch her. It begins with stillness. Your body should already be calm, breath slow, shoulders relaxed. If your chest is tight or your breath is shallow, she will feel it. Women are not guessing, they're sensing. When you step into a hug, you don't lean forward like you're falling. You allow her to enter your space. That alone flips a switch. You're not chasing closeness. You're allowing it. That subtle difference changes the entire emotional tone. The arms come last. Your chest leads not aggressively, but confidently, as if you belong exactly where you are. The first contact should never be hands-grabbing. It's the side of your chest and shoulder meeting her first. That creates safety. Only then do your arms wrap slow and deliberate like you're placing a seatbelt, not locking a cage. Your hands should rest, not roam. Stillness is power here. A man who can hold still without fidgeting communicates self-control. And self-control is deeply attractive. Now, here's where attraction quietly ignites. You don't squeeze immediately. You pause for half a second. That pause tells her, you're present. Then, and only then, you apply gentle pressure, not to trap her, but to anchor the moment. It should feel like I've got you, not don't leave. If she melts even slightly, you hold that pressure. If she stays neutral, you don't increase it. You match her energy instead of forcing yours. Your head position matters more than you think. No burying your face, no stiff neck. Your cheek rests lightly near hers, not pressing, just existing there. Your breath stays slow and deep. If your breathing calms her breathing, you're doing it right. That's when her body starts associating you with regulation, not chaos. A hug done this way doesn't end abruptly. You release slowly, arms loosening before contact breaks. That tells her you're not clinging. You let go first, always. The man who can release without fear leaves the strongest imprint. This isn't manipulation. This is emotional literacy through touch. And most men never learn it. Which is why the man who does instantly stands apart. Here's the truth most men never hear. Attraction doesn't spike from what you do. It spikes from how safe she feels while you do it. Every hug communicates something before a single word is spoken, and most men completely miss this. The mistake that silently kills attraction is the urge to perform the hug instead of inhabit it. If your mind is racing, asking, "Is this working?" The moment you touch her, she already feels it. Presence beats technique every single time. The most powerful touch during a hug isn't about your hands. It's about your center, your chest, your core, your grounded weight. Stand evenly, no shifting or rocking. Stability signals emotional certainty, and uncertainty signals neediness. Women unconsciously scan for that. Even the slightest imbalance or tension in your body tells her your nervous system is in chaos, and chaos repels. Grounded presence, on the other hand, communicates safety and control, which is irresistible. Duration is another subtle weapon most men mishandle. Too short and it feels dismissive. Too long and it feels invasive. The sweet spot is the moment she is perfectly comfortable, but just before the hug overstays its welcome. That fraction of a second leaves her wanting more. Attraction thrives in that space because it respects her autonomy while still leaving an imprint. You're not forcing emotion. You're letting her feel naturally. Your hands should rest, not roam. Mid-back is ideal, just enough contact to anchor her without signaling neediness. Think of your hands as saying, "You're safe here," not "Don't leave me." Any hint of grabbing or fidgeting kills the subtle signal of security. The more your touch communicates calm, the more her body begins to associate you with regulation, not chaos. That's the invisible glue of attraction. Posture when releasing the hug matters as much as the hug itself. Don't slump or retreat. Stand upright, maintain soft eye contact, and allow a slight natural smile if it fits the moment. That transition says, "I am okay with this connection and also okay without it." Women sense that independence immediately. The man who can step back first without desperation leaves the strongest imprint. Now, let's talk about emotional mechanics. Women remember how a hug made them feel, not what you did with your hands. Calm, seen, unpressured, that is what lingers in her memory. Men who master this stop chasing chemistry and start creating safety. And from safety, desire grows effortlessly. Most men misunderstand escalation, thinking it's the way to create attraction. But attunement, matching her energy, respecting her space, regulating your presence, is the true shortcut to magnetic pull. Slow movements are your secret amplifier. Rushed gestures signal anxiety. Slow gestures signal certainty. When you hug, slowly, you are showing her you are not afraid of closeness, that your presence doesn't demand anything in return. That is the difference between a forgettable hug and a hug that silently charges attraction in ways most men will never understand. Finally, let me be blunt. The hug itself is not magic. What is magic is your ability to be present, aligned, and emotionally self-contained. When your touch reflects that, the chemistry doesn't need to be forced. It grows naturally. And over time, that single deliberate hug can become a cornerstone of emotional and sexual magnetism. Her nervous system responds first. Her mind follows second, and your body, steady, calm, confident, becomes the proof she didn't even know she was looking for. This is why men who understand the psychology behind touch effortlessly stand apart. Presence before technique is everything. Here's a truth most men never hear. Touch doesn't create attraction. Touch reveals it. A hug doesn't make her desire you. It exposes the desire that's already there. That's why your internal state matters far more than what your hands do. If you approach a hug hoping it will ignite feelings, you're already behind. But if you approach it as a moment to share calm, confidence, and presence, everything shifts. Women are constantly scanning for emotional labor they'll have to carry. When your presence feels complete, attraction can breathe. There's a critical moment inside every hug where her body decides whether to relax or resist. It happens faster than you can consciously register. That decision is influenced by one factor: congruence. Does your touch match your energy? If your chest is calm, but your hands are jittery, she feels the mismatch. If your posture says confident, but your touch says anxious, it breaks the spell. Alignment between intention and action is the single most overlooked element in creating magnetic attraction. Slowing down amplifies this effect. Slow, deliberate movements signal certainty. Rushed, impulsive movements signal insecurity. When you hug slowly, you communicate that you are unafraid, that you are comfortable with presence, and that you exist fully in the moment. Fearlessness is never loud. It's unhurried, understated, and deeply magnetic. Now consider emotional permission. A masterful hug allows her to feel without obligation. You're not demanding reciprocation, response, or affirmation. You're giving her space to exist in the moment without pressure. That lack of demand is rare and irresistibly attractive. Women often don't articulate it, but they feel it. I can breathe here. I don't have to perform. He doesn't need me to prove anything. That feeling alone generates deep attraction. Your responsibility is not to impress her body, but to make her body feel understood. If she leans in, you remain steady. If she shifts back, you honor the space without offense. That adaptability signals emotional intelligence, a trait that transcends age and physical attraction. Men who master this shift from chasing attention to creating safety and from forcing chemistry to letting it flourish. Notice this. Women remember the feeling, not the technique. They recall calm, stability, and grounded presence. That is what leaves a lingering effect. Men who seem average on the surface often hold the most magnetic power because they make women feel regulated instead of restless. Emotional stability trumps flashy moves every time. A hug done with these principles becomes a signature, an unspoken signal of who you are. It's not something you overuse, it's something memorable. She anticipates it not because it is frequent, but because it consistently communicates reliability, strength, and presence. That anticipation builds desire silently, subtly, and relentlessly. Most men believe escalation fuels desire. In truth, attunement does. Matching her energy, regulating your own, and creating space for her to feel safe without pressure is what turns a simple hug into a powerful tool of attraction. When mastered, a single hug can change the way she perceives you, not superficially, but at a deep emotional level. The difference between a forgettable hug and a magnetizing hug is your internal state. Calm, present, self-contained. That is the unseen force that fuels attraction. Everything else, hands, pressure, duration, is secondary. Her nervous system senses your presence first. Her mind follows second. And when you are fully grounded, the chemistry that emerges feels effortless, natural, and unforgettable. There's another layer most men never consider: self-respect. How you hug reflects how you relate to yourself. If you are disconnected from your own body, your touch feels hollow. If you are comfortable in your own presence, your touch feels reassuring. Women sense that immediately. They don't just feel your hands, they feel the energy behind them. Confidence, groundedness, and self-possession radiate through a simple hug in ways most men don't even realize. Before you even approach a hug, ask yourself one silent, honest question. Am I okay whether this hug happens or not? If the answer is yes, you are ready. If the answer is no, the hug will expose neediness. Attraction never grows in the presence of hunger. Neediness is heavy. Presence is magnetic. The man who can inhabit his own calm creates a pull that words, gestures, or even looks cannot replicate. The most magnetic hugs aren't about impressing her. They are about sharing a moment without expectation. Your energy should say, "I choose this moment," not "I need this moment." That subtle distinction is felt instantly. Women can sense when a man's connection is contingent versus when it is freely given. Contingent. Presence diminishes attraction. Freely given presence multiplies it. A hug is also a boundary test, not hers, but yours. You show her that closeness does not dissolve your sense of self. You can connect deeply and still remain centered. That balance, almost imperceptible, is what long-term attraction feeds on. Women are drawn to men who can engage without being consumed, who can be close without losing their structure. That equilibrium is rare and dangerous in its effect. When you release a hug, your body language should remain consistent with your internal state. Don't slump or fidget. Don't overcompensate with exaggerated gestures. The man who walks back upright, calm and unshaken, signals that the hug did not deplete him, that he does not chase reassurance. This is where true confidence lives, not in bold moves or displays, but in the quiet, steady assurance that your presence is whole and complete. Think of it as emotional gravity. A man who is internally complete pulls without effort. He doesn't need to push. Women respond instinctively to this energy. The hug becomes a microcosm of your presence. When you stand tall, breathe steadily, and allow the moment to unfold without urgency. She feels the subtle yet powerful signal that you are someone safe to connect with. This is why mastering the art of the hug is not just about technique. It's about cultivating yourself first. Grounded presence, emotional autonomy, and self-respect are the invisible forces that make your touch memorable. A man who embodies these qualities doesn't just hug differently, he exists differently. And women sense that immediately. Every hug, when approached with self-respect and presence, becomes a silent declaration. I am whole. I am calm. I am here. That declaration is felt on a level deeper than words or actions. It's not about the squeeze, it's about the energy behind it. And energy, when aligned with presence and emotional stability, is far more powerful than anything most men will ever learn in dating guides. The hug is deceptively simple, but its impact is profound. Presence, self-respect, and calm aren't just attractive. They are irresistible. They are the invisible architecture of desire. And when you can inhabit that space fully, every hug becomes a catalyst, not for momentary warmth, but for enduring attraction. Here's the truth. No one tells you. The hug that changes attraction isn't about your hands, your chest, or even the duration. It's about who you are inside your own body. Calm, grounded, present, self-contained, unknee. When those qualities exist, your touch naturally communicates them without effort. That is the difference between a forgettable hug and one she remembers hours or even days later. Presence always trumps technique. You don't force attraction. You create the environment where it can grow. Every intentional movement, every measured breath, every slight adjustment of your weight tells her, I am okay here with or without your approval. That subtle message triggers a psychological response deeper than words, deeper than logic, and far more compelling than physical appearance. Women are wired to respond to that kind of energy because it signals security and consistency. Two things most men fail to offer. The next time you hug a woman, don't think about impressing her. Don't overanalyze hands, shoulders, or timing. Think about presence. Think about grounding your body, slowing your breath, and letting the moment exist without judgment or expectation. Allow her to feel safe, allowed, and fully present in the space you are holding. That is what builds unconscious trust, and trust is the foundation of desire. This is why subtlety wins. You do not need to be flamboyant, overly dominant, or theatrically confident. A steady, calm, emotionally mature presence creates magnetism that no showmanship can replicate. The hug becomes a signature of your character, a nonverbal declaration that you are someone whose energy is rare, stable, and worth experiencing. That is the hidden power most men never grasp. And now, I want you to reflect on something personal. When you hug someone, are you trying to be felt, or are you allowing them to feel safe? That distinction is subtle but crucial. One approach signals neediness, the other signals mastery. Which one do you embody right now? Be honest with yourself. If this perspective shifted the way you see touch, leave your answer in the comments. Tell me whether your hugs are designed to extract or to give. Like the video if it helped you. Subscribe to discover truths men aren't taught and share it with a friend who needs to hear this now. Because mastery of presence and touch isn't just about attraction. It's about becoming a man whose energy commands respect and desire without a single,